Hello everyone and welcome back to Bonus Bias. Today we're going to be talking about this bad boy, my Magic Music Box. Not really, it's actually the Qudelix 5K, one of the most impressive DACs that I have ever experienced. It's also the only DAC I've ever experienced, so to each their own, but yeah, last video we talked about how I don't really want technology in some of these headphones. That's why I'm switching off of my Bluetooth earbuds and my Bluetooth headphones. But at the end of the day, I'm still a stinky CS major who really likes technology, and that's where this bad boy comes in. Now, your immediate question might be, what the hell is a DAC? I don't know what that means, Ethan. Please tell me. I am going to tell you, but I am also going to warn you that this video is going to be extremely long-winded, nerdy, and most likely boring. So please settle in, grab some popcorn, and listen to me nerd out while I finally get to use some tiny part of my actual degree to explain something to you guys that isn't psychology for once. So that's pretty cool. Now, story time. DAC. DAC. It's an abbreviation for digital analog converter. Analog. I always say audio for some reason. It just makes sense, digital audio converter, but digital analog converter. Why do you need to convert between digital and analog? And what the hell even is that in the first place? Story time, chat. Inside your computer, there are billions and 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 billions of little tiny transistors that each hold a charge. If it has a charge, it's a 1, also known as true. If it doesn't have a charge, it's a 0, also known as false. This is the basis of computing as a whole. You have zeros, you have ones, and you manipulate those zeros and ones to do things. You expand them into longer strings, and we call it binary. That's those 0 and 1s that people can magically transfer from a bunch of 00111 to words, because those zeros and ones have values that you can convert into what's called ASCII, and then a number translates into an actual symbol that you and I would actually recognize. Long-winded thing to say, that's what a digital signal is. It's a signal that transfers over a wire that either speaks in 0 and 1. When the voltage is low, it's a 0. When the voltage is high, it's a 1. And that's how you transfer things. That's how you add things. That is the entire basis of your computer. Your computer at its core is a piece of stupid, dumb electricity moving from one place to another and being stored in tiny little battery things. I knew my CS degree would come in handy at some point. But you might have, maybe you have, or maybe you haven't noticed a problem. Headphones don't really work in two binary values because there's magnets and coils and they move and they vibrate, and you have to know how much they vibrate, and you have to know how far to push air, and it doesn't really work in a binary 0 and 1 signal. So that's where analog comes in. Analog is a continuous wave of electricity where any voltage within a certain range can actually be of value. It essentially takes your values that you can transfer over a wire from 0 to 1 to, I believe, effectively infinite. I could be wrong on that. But you can get as granular as you like. I think the example that I saw was negative 12 volts to 12 volts. I don't know how you get a negative volt. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not an electrical engineer. But analog signals are essentially just continuous data that can provide far more than zeros and ones. But computers don't work like that. Your computer is outputting that 0 and 1 binary that we talked about earlier and is trying to convince a pair of headphones that it knows what it's talking about. And to do that, it needs one of these bad boys. Now, normally this is built into your phone. Not anymore since they took away the freaking headphone jack. But if you get one of those USB-C to 3.5 millimeter headphone jack things, that technically has a DAC in it. That's converting the binary signal, the digital signal from your phone, converting it to an analog signal that your headphones can understand, and then creating sound or speakers or whatever you want to plug into it. So this is just a fancy DAC, which why do you need that when it's already built into your phone? Because this guy has a lot more up his sleeve. This is also kind of, but not really, an amp. Best way that I can explain an amp, headphones need power to move the diaphragm back and forth. And if you don't have enough power, then the diaphragm doesn't move and you don't get enough volume because it doesn't move enough air. So an amplifier, you plug it in, it gives it more power, it moves faster, you get more volume. Essentially, that's the very low tier breakdown of it. This doesn't really amplify. I think it's capable of amplification in some ways, but it's running on a battery and it's tiny. As you can see, it's literally the size of like my fucking thumb. So you're not going to be running like crazy high resistance headphones out of this, but it's enough to drive the IEMs and these. These were specifically made by the founder of Meze to be like a travel set that works on basically anything. So the amp part, less important. But this thing can essentially act as a Bluetooth or a USB DAC for a computer or a phone. I can plug it into this phone, plug headphones into it. It interprets and converts the signal, or do it on my laptop, which is great because my laptop's built-in DAC is not the greatest. Anytime I plug in headphones to my laptop, or heaven forbid my computer at home, it's not that it sounds bad, it's just that I don't get the same quality that I do coming out of my phone. So something like this is going to help that substantially. But beyond that, it's also Bluetooth. So, I can plug these 99 Noirs into this thing and then connect it to my phone, and boom, that's a connection. I know I wanted to eliminate Bluetooth from the chain, but when you have the option to do that, that's really cool. I can keep this thing in my pocket and walk around my apartment while my laptop not really my laptop, but while my phone is playing something and streaming a signal to this. And I think that's really, really cool. It's almost like its own little audio player because you kind of get rid of the distraction of using a phone because you have all the controls right on here. You can use these buttons to skip, play, pause, answer phone calls, whatever. It's got a microphone on it. Like, it's a really powerful little piece of technology. But it doesn't even end there. It's so cool. So let me show you this. If I turn this thing on, it's actually really funny. It makes like a very stereotypical mouse clicking noise if you have the headphones on when you turn it on. So now it's on, and it should be connected to my phone. Yes. So it's connected to my phone. And I can do so much. I can see the battery. I can change the power. I can do all of these little settings. But the coolest thing is down here, I have access to, volume, the amp mode, whatever, the connection standard that it uses with my phone. Or I can do this. EQ being equalizer, or essentially full manipulation over the audio signal that comes out of this. So at its very core, let's just say I put on these headphones and I'm like, not bassy enough. Well, I can see down here I've got frequencies and I can just, bass is usually in the, I have to turn it on first. You can see I actually have a small bass boost applied for when I use my blessings. But essentially what I can do is, I need more bass, man. I can just do that. Create a bass rise and get more bass out of my headphones. In fact, there's a whole bunch of custom profiles here. Bass booster, boom, right there. Sometimes I put that on. I'm listening to some stinky EDM song that sounds like, it's just kick drum. And it's like, sometimes you want that extra bass, even if these Mezes are already pretty bassy. I use it to do a slight bass boost on my Blessing 3s, which don't really have the most mid bass, so I use this to pump it up a little bit. EQ is not a golden ticket. It's not going to make any headphones sound good because at the end of the day, you're relying on physical pieces and sometimes maybe your signal isn't good or maybe the drivers that you're using aren't good or whatever. So it's not going to make any headphones sound just amazing. But you can do little changes. I like to liken it to like the zippy weighted end caps because what those do, they're not going to change the overall experience of the ballad song, but what they are going to do is allow you to add not remove, but add a little bit of handle bias if you want. If you pick up a ballast song and it's too neutral, boom, slap the zippy weighted end caps on there, and then you've got a little extra handle bias. That's kind of what EQ is, essentially. You can make very small adjustments if you want to. Or like maybe a headphone is way too bassy. Lower the bass. Or maybe you want a little bit more treble. Okay, let's kick up the treble a little bit. I even have access to basically the entire... Look at all of these presets that were made by people in the community for almost any headphone you can imagine. I can look up the 99 Noirs, click that, and it will automatically EQ to a profile that makes them a little bit more flat. I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know why they're lowering the sub bass that much and raising. That's a little bit weird. I mean, it's not perfect. It's community made stuff. But like, for someone who doesn't understand EQing, kind of like me, I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. I can just search something. Like, I don't know. Let's look up my Blessing 3s. Click that, and it EQs it. It EQs it to a profile that I believe is just is flat, or maybe you can EQ it to a specific target. You also have this, instead of the little graphical interface that I was using earlier, you can set it to what's called PEQ, which is basically just full manipulation over... You can type in frequencies and gain levels and all of that stuff. It's wild. It really is just wild what you can do with this thing. You could go online and find someone who's made their custom EQ profile, which just obliterates the mids. I only want treble and I only want bass. And then you download that, you upload it to the Qudelix, and boom, there you go. I mean, it might not work. Again, EQ, if you use it on like the wrong frequencies or you do too much of it, can just ruin, like not ruin your headphones, but just ruin the sound that comes out of them. Like, it will sound really bad. But you know, then you just go back to a different EQ profile. It's like, it's really cool. And at the end of the day, I mean, not really on a product like this, but it's free. I think you can, if you're on Windows, you can get Windows, Android, I think even Mac, you can get EQ softwares for your computer. So you don't even need a device like this to do this. Like, you can just get it. And it's free. And who knows, if you have like a small gripe, like my Blessing 3s, they didn't have enough mid bass for me. Throw on this little bass boost thing that I made, boom. They sound almost perfect. It's crazy. I love it. It's so good. I love it so much. The Qudelix is amazing. It is this little magic box of music, and I love it. It's like a little tiny music player that can just let me customize whatever the actual living hell I want. If I want to use Sony LDAC for the codec, I can. If I want minimum latency, I can do that. If I want to artificially lower the quality, hell, I mean, have at it, brother. Change it so that it's different for the thing. I can use it as a built-in microphone. Hey, I can interview someone on the street with it. The microphone isn't that great, so I would never use it for that. I can connect it to multiple points and then tell it what to do, and then I can... There's a balanced output. It essentially just means you send... Like, this would be perfect. You send the audio signal separately to both of them instead of just to one. I don't really know how it works here because this is already two separate... Whatever. More power. Let's just say that. You can get more power out of this one, even though it's smaller. That doesn't really make much sense, but whatever. I can turn on filters and all of this. It's so cool. It's my magic little box of wonderfulness, and I love it. And if you made it this far in the video, you actually deserve a gold medal because you got through nerd time and me talking and rambling about literally nothing. So comment. What am I going to make you comment this time? Comment just like give me a smiley face in your message. Comment as you normally would and then throw a smiley face in there. And I'll know that you saw this part. And I humbly salute you for getting through boring time, nerd time, and Ethan rambles about everything time. Because I've been recording for far too long. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next one. Get into audio, man. It's pretty cool. Just don't ask me for recommendations. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm fumbling around buying used stuff. All of this stuff is used, except those. This is used. These are used. very low usage time, which is why I bought them. Like this thing had 5 hours of playtime on it when I got it, so that's pretty cool. And these things the guy like barely ever used. So check out the secondhand market, man. Sometimes you score some deals. My blessings were used. The guy used them for 2 hours, didn't like them, and then resold them. He didn't use the cable and he didn't use the included tip. So they were basic. I basically got them new, but they were $100 off of MSRP. So cool stuff. There's your little tip if you made it to the end of the video. Secondhand, just wait for the deal where someone bought something, didn't like it, didn't use any of the included accessories, and then try and sell it. That's enough. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.